Hello, this is Alec Kerr of the Conway Daily Sun, and I just got back from M&D Productions' production of Arthur Miller's All My Sons. Now, this is my first experience with All My Sons, and like a lot of Arthur Miller's work, this is a very cynical, although some would say very realistic, representation of the American dream gone wrong, with the main character, Joe Keller, being an example of what can happen when capitalism goes unchecked and when you put yourself in front of the greater good and above the greater good. And in this case, his actions during World War II manufacturing parts for jets leads to the death of 21 soldiers. And he has his partner take the fall for him, and now the repercussions of that are finally coming to a head, with his son planning to marry the daughter of his former partner, and the son of his former partner coming to town to confront him. And at the same time, his wife is still clinging to the idea that his dead son, who died during World War II, may come home, because his body was never found, so he's technically just listed as, missing in action, MIA. And so she's clinging to the idea that he may come home. And so you have all this drama coming to a head, but it's the way the show is structured is that it builds very, very slowly. The show opens and it's almost like it's a Norman Rockwell painting. It's very perfect and idyllic. You have Joe and his family interacting with the neighbors, and it's almost like a situational comedy in some respects. It's very low-key, very light, very charming, and then you start getting little hints undercutting this perfect dream, this perfect image of the American dream. You start to see little hints of the wife's delusions about her son, and everything just starts crumbling further and further, and the show gets darker and darker and more heavy and more dramatic until you get to this climax that is just, a heartbreaker. And this is incredibly well acted, and it's directed by Dennis O'Neil, who's done a really good job getting the cast to act really, really naturalistic. And so this is not forced or stagey or showy acting. It seems very, as I said, natural, and it just really flows out. The material just flows in a way that doesn't feel forced, and it doesn't have that this is a scripted scene kind of feel. It feels as if it feels like real life, and like real life, there are a lot of kind of subtly funny moments that work their way into the dramatic scenes, even within an argument. And that's what I think is really great with what Arthur Miller has written here, is that life is never as black and white as a lot of film and TV and plays and books make it out to be a lot of times. It's not 100% comic, and it's not 100% dramatic. A lot of times, the most harrowing moments have little moments of comedy that pop up into it. And I'm not saying that this is like broadly hilarious, but there are little zingers and little asides that work their way into the drama here that are really, really cutting and just make this feel all the more real. And so I really enjoyed the play. It's a really well-written play. I mean, Arthur Miller is one of the great American playwrights, and this is just an example of how good he was. Anyway, I have a bunch of clips from the show, so check it out. It's a really solid show. Definitely, if you get a chance, go see it.
Well, where's the beautiful girl was supposed to be here?
Amy came. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we picked her up last night on the 1 o'clock train. You know, it's a wonderful thing. I mean, that girl leaves here a scrawny kid. A couple of years go by, she comes back, she's a regular woman. I hardly recognized her. I mean, she was running back and forth out of this yard her whole life. Tell you, that was a very happy family that lived in your house, Joe.
I'd like to meet her. The block could use a pretty girl. In the whole neighborhood, there's not a damn thing to look at. Except my wife, of course.
Hey, let's go to the shore tonight. Raise some hell like we used to before Larry went.
She thinks of him, see? She thinks of him.
What do you mean, Kate?
Oh, nothing, dear, just that, oh, you remember him, he's in your thoughts.
Well, that's a funny thing to say. How could I help remembering him?
Well, did you hang up your things?
Yeah. Say, you sure have gone in for clothes. I could hardly find room in the closet.
No, don't you remember? That's Larry's room.
You mean, they're Larry's?
Well, yes, dear, didn't you recognize them?
Well, I guess I just didn't realize that you... I mean, the shoes are all shine.
Yes, dear.
Dad was afraid. He wanted Joe there if he was going to do it. But Joe can't come. He's sick. Sick. He's got the flu suddenly. Suddenly. But he tells him that he's going to take responsibility on the telephone. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? On the phone you can't have responsibility. You can always deny a phone call in court, and that's exactly what he did. They knew he was a liar the first time, but in the appeals they believed that rotten lie, and now Joe's a big shot, and you're